Welcome back to Look News and our weekly look at finance. Alongside me, as always, on a Thursday, Jenny Montgomery, Scott Stephen Carlton.
Thanks, David.
Welcome to you, sir. Thank you. We've got a couple things to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about Global Foundries, the fact that they are just, one of the major players in our marketplace. One of the major players in the grocery store marketplace over the last couple of years, Price Chopper, doing something they haven't done in 81 years.
I know, yeah.
Not really good news. And we'll catch up on Cyprus.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good segment.
All right. Well, let's hope so.
Fingers are crossed.
Yeah. So we're going to start with Global Foundries.
Yeah.
The CEO of Global Foundries, Ajit Monaca, he's been talking at a two-day symposium at Hudson Valley Community College. That's down in Troy. He says to this forum, Global Foundries has created 10,000 jobs so far in our region. And he says, quote, "We are still going. That's just the beginning."
You know, this really is, we've been talking about this for a long time now, David. This is a whole new segment of our economy. You know, New York has not been known for creating this kind of technology. We're now the creators of this technology, the research, the development, the manufacturing ability. This is one of the most advanced chip plants in the world. So there's a great degree of pride that upstate New York can have in this project.
Yeah, one of the most advanced. Monaca went on to say that the Global Foundries factory in Malta is more high-tech than their Singapore and their German facilities. Of course, when he says this is just the beginning, he's hinting at the addition to the fab plant that could come. $15 billion chip fab that, of course, could add way more jobs in our area.
Yeah, I mean, this is diverse. I mean, we're talking about all kinds of chips for all kinds of uses. It's not just laptops and PCs, it's cell phones. There's all sorts of applications. So this is a global manufacturing powerhouse that's in upstate New York. So good jobs, well-paying jobs. We were talking last week about, livable wage. This is a great example of livable wages for people in the community.
You know, the nice thing that he said, and something that we're always talking about, is recreating this American dream. Getting manufacturing back here, getting folks back to work. Last week we talked about the minimum wage being increased to $9. That needs to go up higher. We need to really get people back to work. The CEO of Global Foundries said that they are working to bring the pride back to this nation.
You know, the focus is changing. You know, in the last few years, people have said, we need to focus on the positives. Our focus determines our reality. And so, what's happening in New York, the changes that have come through the pipe in the last few years, is people are saying, we need to stop focusing on the negatives, but how can we create a good, strong, vibrant economy? And that is starting to happen without question in New York.
Well, it raised a question for me. I'd like us to talk a little bit about this, talking about the negatives. It seems that we're putting all our eggs in this one basket. We've got Global Foundries. We're talking, it's the major employer in our area now and continues to grow. But this state has a history of doing this. We put all our eggs in one basket. We give them, funding. We say, okay, Global Foundries, chip fabs this time. But if we look back in history, Kodak, of course, Rochester-based, and IBM, which began in Endicott, New York. Here's just a couple of numbers for you guys to digest. In 1976, Kodak, which now is going quickly the way of the dodo, 90% of film sales and 85% of camera sales in the U.S. Kodak had that slice of the market. At the height, Kodak had 62,000 employees. Now in 2012, that's the last time some numbers were aggregated on this, they got just over 7,000 employees. One more, IBM, Endicott, New York, birthplace. At their peak, they had 16,000 employees. They now have as little as 600. So we had these two big companies that the state obviously threw a lot of money at one time, created economies in Rochester and Endicott. Endicott, of course, close to Binghamton. We all know about hydrofracking. They're trying to turn the economy around there. Do we run the risk that Malta could become the next Rochester, or our region could become the next Endicott, New York?
There's business cycles, and this is one of the challenging things. We've had automotive dominance. We've had the film like in Kodak and PCs, computers in the 80s. Just like Sony computers, Sony TVs were all the rage in the 90s, and then Samsung became dominant. The business cycles change, and one of the challenges that we have as an economy in the U.S. is we cannot sit on our laurels. We have to adapt and change and evolve. And this chip plant represents an idea of not focusing on one particular product, but focusing on technology. And so the technology will constantly evolve. It's not like we're making, an Apple iPhone. It's this whole diverse line of technology. And so that gives us a little bit more insulation on that level. But it's a fair point. I mean, we really can't be just one segment of the economy. We have to be as diverse as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you say they can evolve, but Kodak could have evolved with digital cameras. IBM could have evolved with iPad-esque things. didn't
And
go
they
that
didn't.
way.
They didn't.
No,
And
they
that's
failed.
always the risk. That's the nature of business. Companies have a finite life, and they don't go on forever. And Apple's been struggling after Steve Jobs. This is the natural segment of business. You can't guarantee future success.
All right, let's talk about the escalating grocery store war. Last night we went and checked out the new Healthy Living Market
Absolutely.
in the Wilton Mall in Saratoga. Nice place.
Yeah, I mean, talk about evolution again. Price Chopper has been the family grocery store in this community for a long, long, long time. And now there's a whole list of new competitors that are moving into the area. And so that was fun to go in there and check out that store. And it's a new idea, it's a new concept, it's a new way of delivering, and they're focused on a certain segment of the economy, a certain segment of the population that this appeals to. So this is one of the consequences, that if Price Chopper doesn't adapt and change and evolve to their client base, they'll face the same kinds of struggles that every other type of business model faces.
Yeah, the news here is that in Price Chopper's 81-year history, the first time in 81 years, they cut staff at their administrative headquarters. Of course, they built that new shiny building in downtown Schenectady, if you've driven by. They cut 34 administrative employees, and they will not fill a further 46 jobs. They're feeling the heat at their back. They've got Healthy Living, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, ShopRite, which has made it, opening a new store in Colony now. They're all, there's a lot of competition for the folks at Price Chopper.
Well, these other places see this as a growing community, see it as a vibrant place. So there's opportunities, but there's also risks here. And this family business has evolved over the last 80 years. This is going to be an opportunity for them to do the same kind of evolution. And I wouldn't count them out just yet, but you're going to see some changes, and I suspect we'll see it in the next few years.
We're running out of time, but briefly, just an update on Cyprus, the news this week out of the Cypriot island.
So we didn't have mass rioting. People evolved and adjusted to that. I think the EU, with the making currency available, kept things fairly stable in Cyprus. But the big thing is the economy is going to slow down, jobs are going to be lost, taxes are going to go down because of the economy slowing. This is far from over. What we've seen in Spain and Italy as they're getting progressively higher unemployment, that stuff is going to shake out, and all those things affect the U.S. economy. We have to have Europe and Asia chugging along as well as us. So we can't expect that those kinds of problems won't influence and affect us. So we still have to watch it. But for now, it's been not nearly as bad as some people were saying.
I'm sure this is a story we're going to be talking about in the coming months. Always more than we can fit into our allotted time.
Always fun.
We'll
Thanks,
have to
David.
get that half-hour show going here anytime soon.
We're working on it.
Stephen Carlton, First Vice President for
Thank
Jenny
you.
Montgomery Scott. Thank you, sir. Now, for a second look at our segment, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com. We have posted all the information right there.